Hello and welcome again to the Bankers Masterclass series on embracing digital transformation in retail banking. My name is John Everington. I'm the Middle East and Africa editor at The Banker, and I'm delighted to be joined once again by Subroto Som, head of retail banking at Mashreqbank. Som, thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you, John.
So Som, here in the UAE, you have a very unique situation. You have a very banked population, you have very high adoption of digital services and smartphones, but at the same time, cash and checks are still very much a central part of the economy. So what are the sort of challenges for bringing in digital services in this market, would you say?
I think a lot is changing. First, I will say is that the UAE government has a goal of by 2021, as a part of a smart cities, is to remove all cash payments in government services. That is driving a lot of the mobile payment and electronic payment adoption by consumers and by entities in the government world. I think that's a big driver. Second, as you mentioned, there is a high penetration of both phones and smartphones. I think in the second space, particularly over the last 12 to 24 months, we are seeing consumers trusting and doing more financial transactions on the mobile phone. Just to give you a couple of stats, in Mashreq we have seen over the last 3 years, branch transactions reduced by 60%. Less than 1/4 of our customers base actually come to the branch. People who came to the branch used to come about 15 to 18 times a year. Now they come for less than 6. So in short, there's a big change in the customer behavior. And today in Mashreq, more than 70% of our new accounts in the retail space are opened digitally. So both for existing customers coming to the branch and new customers opening account, we are seeing a significant change. And I think this is driving the need and the growth of digital retail banking in UAE. These are very impressive numbers. Most banks have a pretty good online and mobile application, and I think they are getting the benefit of all this customer behavior change. I put customer behavior in the digital space into 3 categories. I call it transact, acquire, engage. Most of the developments have been in the space of transaction, making payments and things like that. Second is the growth of acquiring new customers. And the third is keeping the customers engaged in the digital payment space. I believe this is the area where new insights and growth and new ways of engaging customers will emerge, and this will really determine who succeeds. While this market is overbanked, we are seeing a fair number of consolidation, which will help that. But today, the consumer behavior is changing so fast that the consumer is looking for a better customer experience, a more embedded customer experience, and an experience that goes beyond a bank. And in that space, I think this digital transformation will actually bring about new solutions. And we at Mashreq are excited about this opportunity.
There's been a lot of activity within the UAE and here in Dubai in particular with FinTech operations. The DIFC has its FinTech hive. There's been a lot of kind of emphasis put on the introduction of FinTech, and the banks have been very proactive, including Mashreq. We talked a lot about the customer experience in terms of the onboarding and the payments and all the many aspects of that. Would you say that the impact of FinTech is going to really be met first and foremost in the customer experience, or is it going to be having an even greater effect in the back-end processes, or is it a combination of the two?
Fintechs are new into this market compared to some of the other developed markets like in the US, China, Southeast Asia and other markets, but they are gathering pace rapidly. I think in the technology digital space, it's not only the big techs and the big software companies, but the banks and fintechs are investing significantly. I also see a lot more collaboration of banks and fintechs in working together to solve a current customer pain point and an opportunity to make the experience better. Now, coming to your question, will it be more front-facing or the back end? I think we will see how it emerges, but there are opportunity on both the spaces. Clearly, the front end is what is more visible to us, and there's a lot of investment in that space. in the space of KYC, in the space of customer authentication, customer onboarding, customer changing its own information on the bank and updating that online. So there's a lot of opportunity in that space too. But on the back end, which is the way the customer's transaction gets processed and gets recorded and gets shared with the customer, there are also things that are emerging. And I think more, I call them as digital inside. So there's a digital outside, which is what the customer sees, and there's a bigger play of digital inside. Yeah. I think digital inside is also progressing at an enormous pace, and there are huge opportunities in the digital inside space.
Mashreq is one of the most established banks here within the UAE, in Dubai. I mean, was founded before the UAE itself came into being. So you have a sort of a bank with, quite a history and deep roots. It's sometimes we've seen such banks kind of struggle to kind of adapt digital and really kind of transform themselves into digital-first banks. What's been your experience, and what have been the challenges, and how have you overcome them?
Mashreq, it's been over 50 years in this market, and one of the core DNA of Mashreq has been technology and innovation. As you probably know, we were the first banks to have brought credit card and ATMs into this market. We were the first banks to bring chatbot, mobile banking, and things like that in the more recent past. We have a very progressive CEO who believes in technology and change, and that helps. This kind of change is only possible and sustainable if it is driven from the top. And we are lucky in Mashreq to have a CEO who is so empowering. I think to your second question, what does it need to make digital transformation work in a bank which has been traditionally been there for a long time? Clearly, a big mindset change, a big push from the top of trying to embrace the new technology and seeing what customer behavior is and respond to them. And I think we are lucky in all those three aspects. We are working at the senior-most level as a united team to embrace this change. This is not seen just at the front end of what you see in a mobile app or an online app or some of the features. We are right now in the process of changing our whole technology stack. We are upgrading the back end of the technology to allow us to use more fintechs and solutions and new capabilities seamlessly and at a low cost and at a short period of time. We are also seeing that the way we work inside the bank in an agile way, it helps for us to bring about the change, to embrace new technology, to fail fast, and to adopt as quickly as we can. So these are ingredients of a transformation. And as you rightly said, this is a significant transformation, being managed and led from the top and being done as a strategic input or as a strategic choice, I think are ingredients that we feel very proud of, and we feel that will give us success.
Thank you very much, Som. In the third and final chapter of this series, we'll be discussing the rise of e-commerce in the Middle East, a relatively new phenomenon, and how that's impacting the wider retail space and how banks are responding.